You know that feeling, waking up at like 3 a.m. with this sudden, suffocating panic? It's that quiet, nagging voice whispering in your ear that you're just not where you're supposed to be. That your friends are sprinting ahead, hitting all these massive milestones, climbing the corporate ladder, and you're kind of just stuck at the starting line. Well, if you felt that, take a deep breath. You are in exactly the right place. Welcome to this explainer. We're going to dive right in today because we are completely dismantling that anxiety. We're deconstructing the whole framework of how we actually view success and timelines. We're calling this the architecture of individual progress. By the end of our time together, the goal is to totally shift your perspective. I want you to stop seeing your current position as some sort of failure of speed and start seeing it as an absolutely necessary phase of your own unique design. Because spoiler alert, you're not behind. You're just operating on a blueprint that belongs entirely to you. So this whole comparison trap is perfectly summed up by this simple truth. Stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 10. I mean, think about how incredibly unfair that is to yourself. Picture it. You sit down to write a rough draft. It's messy, it's confusing, there are crossouts everywhere. Meanwhile, you're looking over at someone else who's holding this beautifully bound, published hardcover book. What we totally miss in that moment of comparison is that their chapter 10, it's the result of years of their own messy, confusing drafts that we just didn't get to see. We're literally weaponizing other people's arrivals against our own beginnings. So to figure out how to fix this, we've got to look at the environment that's feeding this anxiety in the first place. Which brings us to section 1, the comparison trap, the highlight reel illusion. Look, I really want to acknowledge just how overwhelming it is navigating modern life right now, especially the digital landscape. Social media makes it feel like literally everyone is winning, except you. Every single time you scroll, what do you see? It's just a constant barrage of engagement rings, big job promotions, pristine vacations, new houses. It's endless. And it creates this highly toxic, perfectly curated narrative. Actually, our brains aren't even wired to process the global successes of thousands of people all at once. Think about it. In the past, you only compared yourself to your immediate neighbors. Now, your neighbor is the most successful person in the world on your feed. It manufactures this completely false reality where winning is the default state of being human. And if you're struggling or figuring things out or, just taking a break, you feel like you're failing. It leaves us feeling so isolated and left behind in a race we didn't even sign up for. Society really loves to feed us this grand illusion. There's this pervasive myth that everyone is just winning all the time, and that to be successful, your path has to look identical to everyone else's. The myth tells us we're supposed to graduate at 22, get the dream job at 24, be totally financially secure by 30, just a perfectly straight, unbending line. But let's look at the reality. The reality is that human paths are inherently unique. They zig, they zag, they have steep climbs, really unexpected plateaus, and some massive detours. If we keep trying to shove our beautifully chaotic reality into the rigid box of that myth, we are always going to feel like we're failing. The truth is, your path was never designed to be a carbon copy of anyone else's. Why? Because your ultimate destination is entirely your own. And once we actually recognize that myth for what it is, we can change how we interpret our own timeline. Moving right along to section 2, reframing your delay, the purpose behind the pause. Now, I really want you to sit with this profound question for a second. What if your delay is actually your preparation? Just think about the massive perspective shift that requires. Usually when things don't happen on our perfect little schedule, like when we get a rejection letter, or a project stalls out, or we just feel completely stuck in a holding pattern, we immediately label it as a delay. We see it as a penalty, right? Like some kind of punishment. But what if life isn't penalizing you at all? What if instead it's actually equipping you? We need to completely redefine this whole concept. Preparation is the vital, unseen phase of your unique journey that ensures you are totally ready for your ultimate destination. I absolutely love that word, unseen here. Think back to our architecture metaphor. Before a massive skyscraper can reach the clouds, construction crews have to spend months, sometimes even years, digging deep into the dirt just to lay the foundation. To anyone walking by, it looks like nothing is happening. It looks like a huge delay. But in reality, it's the absolute most vital phase of the whole project. If they skip that unseen phase and just start building up, the whole thing is going to collapse the second a storm hits. So those setbacks, the waiting, those quiet seasons you might be in right now, they're not failures. They are the deep, foundational groundwork required for your specific trajectory. And that brings us to this incredibly freeing realization. Your path was never meant to look like theirs. Look, if you're building a lighthouse and your friend is building a log cabin, the blueprints are going to be fundamentally different from day one. The materials will be different, the timeline will be entirely different. So why on earth would you panic that your foundation doesn't look like their roof? It makes zero sense. When we finally internalize this, the anxiety of falling behind just kind of evaporates. You literally cannot be behind someone who is running on a completely different track toward a completely different finish line. Your pacing, your detours, your specific timeline, they're perfectly calibrated for where you are meant to go. Now, philosophy and mindset shifts are great, but they really need action to stick. Which brings us to our final part, Section 3, owning your path, action over comparison. Let's turn all of this into a real actionable framework that you can use today, broken down into 2 super clear steps. Step 1, ignore their highlight reel. This has to be an active choice. It means setting real boundaries with your social media scrolling. It means waking up and realizing that what you're seeing online is essentially a marketing brochure for someone's life, okay? Not an audited documentary of their daily struggles. And then step 2, focus on your next step. Not the next 10 steps, not the grand finish line, just the single immediate step right in front of your own feet. When you take back all that energy you've been wasting on outward comparison and channel it directly into your own forward momentum, I promise you, your progress is going to astound you. When you actually put these 2 mindsets side by side, the contrast is wild. Staring at someone else's highlight reel is such a passive, draining activity. It steals your joy, it feeds right into your insecurities, and crucially, it keeps you perfectly still. You are making zero progress while watching someone else run. But shifting your focus entirely to your next step, that is an active, empowering posture. It requires self-direction. It demands that you actually take agency over your life's architecture. It's the definitive shift from being just a spectator in someone else's stadium to being the star athlete in your own arena. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you anchored with this really powerful thought from our source material. Your road is yours. Walk it with confidence. Man, I absolutely love the energy of that statement. Ownership is the ultimate antidote to the comparison trap. This road, with all its potholes, its scenic overlooks, the frustrating traffic jams, and the wide-open stretches, it belongs to you. It was custom paved for your specific growth. And when you truly own that, your whole posture changes. You stop slouching under the heavy weight of everyone else's expectations, and you start walking with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that their current chapter, however messy it might be, is exactly where they need to be. So that leaves us with one final, vital question to consider today. Are you ready to stop watching their reel and start walking your own road? The blueprint is right there in your hands. The foundational work has already begun. The only thing left to do now is take that very next step. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer today, and I'll catch you next time.